And we're live. Hey, what's up, guys? Jordan Anderson here, and welcome to tonight's episode. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to run your client meetings, the meetings you have with your brides and grooms, your couples, how to do that effectively, and to do it like Google does. It's always catchy. Just add Google to any title, and that just makes it instantly catchy. Little quick SEO tip for you guys. So welcome tonight. God damn, I'm looking good tonight. Okay. I put a little, I remember what this was. This is 216 Frost. Put a little soft. Okay, I'm looking at my party lights in the back. They're a little nuts. Hang on. Slow that down. Okay. So welcome, guys. My name is Jordan Anderson. If this is the first time you're watching. I am a pricing coach for wedding photographers. I help wedding photographers raise their rates and therefore make more money. And that's my goal for this year, to help you double your rates. So if you're watching this, I'm going to help you make some more money. But first, let's talk about this. This is actually something that is, this is going to help close your sales process. This is something that's going to, this is something that you don't think about a lot, but this is actually a crucial moment in the relationship with your clients. So how to run a client meeting. Client meetings can be a little weird. They can be a little shaky, especially, now we're like meeting in person and doing the whole, let's meet at the coffee shop. It's not exactly an option. So we're going to have to do some virtual options. We're going to have to do some FaceTime options, phone calls, audio, getting maybe getting a nice webcam like this. But there are some core fundamentals to every single meeting. And we're going to take some of those lessons from Google, take some of those, and also we'll also talk tonight about the flaws that some meetings come with. If you're in the corporate world, if you've ever been in the 9-to-5 world, you've been to a lot of meetings, and they can be a lot of, I'll put it nicely, they can be a waste of time. So let's not have that. And let's switch over to our handy-dandy slides, Jordan. You're rambling a little bit in this early part of the episode. So how to run a client meeting like Google. Let's always start with our main goal tonight. I want you to, and then maybe this is your theme. Maybe this is my theme too. I'm calling myself out. Working with intention. And I have a second goal behind this, but working with intention, being more deliberate about what you do, thinking about what it is that you do, and having a plan going into something, and not just aimlessly working or just kind of leading with your emotions. Rather, focus on the task at hand, focus on getting shit done. Maybe I'll put it that way. The other main goal is, and I think this is the most important one, is that to run a client meeting effectively is going to not so much worried about building confidence in yourself. We are worried about, watching this episode and getting the tips from this, is I want to build your client's confidence in you. When you are running a meeting effectively, when you're leading a meeting, when you're showing off your professionalism, there are so many unspoken values being demonstrated that your clients are going to just, we want your clients to feel like they are in good hands. And it's these little touches, it's these small little moments, as something as insignificant that you might think as it's just a little 10-minute phone call, a little get to know you meeting. But through this meeting, there are a couple things that I want to show you that's going to make you seem like, wow, this photographer has their shit together. This whole wedding planning process that I'm going through as a client is so stressful. I just got off the phone with the wedding planner. They're having to rework this. The schedule's going to shift. The cake isn't going to be ready. And then I got on the phone with you, the wedding photographer, and oh my God, you made this whole process, all the stress melted away, and how professional you were about this and making us feel like we were taken care of and in good hands. You're worth the money. Yes. Okay. Yeah. No. Where do we sign? How much? Can we pay you more? We'll definitely give you a tip on the night of the wedding. That's what we're going for tonight. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the lesson plan tonight. At least tonight's lesson plan. Number one, we're going to talk about the agenda, setting your agenda, not your agenda. Number two, your presence of mind. And number three, keep it simple, the follow through. And I still don't know if I'm spelling that right. We all say follow through, or if you've ever gone to some crappy basketball camp, they're all just talking about follow through. I don't know if you did basketball as a kid, but the follow through. I don't know if it's THRU, but whatever. So let's start with the first lesson, your agenda. What do you want? What do you want is a great question to start with before going into this meeting. And ask yourself this, what do I want? What do I want to get out of this meeting? I feel like the biggest problem is that a lot of meetings are just kind of aimless and they lack focus. And I think I'm burying my lead, but ask yourself, what do you want? Another thing with your agenda, and you want to take control of the meeting. You don't want, yes, this meeting is about getting to know each other. It's about understanding what their vision is. It's about building a relationship, building rapport. But this is a meeting that you have started, that you have initiated, and you cannot, if you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, whatever your personality type is, friendly, not friendly, whatever, you have to, in a few certain ways, take control of the meeting. I'm not saying be bossy. I'm just saying this is your meeting. This is your meeting to lead, and this is your meeting to control and make sure we don't get off the track. So we kind of keep the cows in the barn, keep everything kind of on the fence, within the fence, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a farmer. Lead the discussion. You're leading the discussion. Okay, there might be awkward pauses, but that we're not worried about the awkward pauses. But we're worried about, I want you with your agenda to set key things, key objectives. Here's what I want to do. And you set these things ahead of time in the meeting, and then also when you're in the meeting at the very beginning, you set the agenda and say, I think we should talk about this, or hey, thanks so much for getting on this call. Thanks so much for getting on this call. What I would like to get out of this call, what I would like to make sure that we cover. We can talk about anything you want in the world, but on this call, I want to make sure that we cover points A, B, and C. And if we can do that, that'd be fantastic. But first, let's get to know each other. I want to, who are you guys? What are you guys about? Not so much like interview style, like I'm falling into my it sounds like I'm doing my own podcast, but that's the kind of discussion, what I just said right there, use that exact tone. That's not bossy. That's very inviting. That's very open. You're just setting the dialogue. You're not the leader of the meeting. You're just the facilitator. You're here. Hey, thanks for being here. Let's get started. Let's start the discussion. I'll ask the first question, because a lot of meetings suffer from if you've ever been in the 9-to-5 world, if you've ever been in the corporate world, a lot of meetings suffer from a severe lack of focus. You go to meetings and you're like, why am I in this meeting? Or, well, okay, this meeting said or just I'll complain so much about the corporate world, but the standard Friday meeting with a couple of your teammates, and there's no real agenda. Let's have an agenda. Let's do something. Let's make sure we have an objective set before we go into the meeting. Meeting for meeting's sake is not effective. It's not a good use of our time. Let's focus on what do you want to get out of this. So your client in the first meeting is trying to get to know you, this is obviously assuming that you have closed the deal, or you've gone, you're in the contract phase, or maybe you're just trying to figure out what it is that your client wants. And they've shown some intention that they want to work with you. This is your chance to get to know them. This is your chance to understand what their dream is, understand of course, the details, the schedule, the logistics, the time frame, the styles that they like. Understand all that, but always come in with asking yourself and stating to them, what is this meeting's objective? What do I like? Why am I going to this meeting? You could be wasting your time. You could not be, this could be something that just doesn't really lead to anything. What is the meeting's objective? What is this? I want to know these core details, and that's what I said. And I always say to write it down ahead of time, because once you're in that meeting, the momentum goes. You might go into sales mode. You might get super friendly. The conversation might go where we're talking about our great aunt and their dog. And this time I was at Cancun. I did this. And you always want to fall back. And those personal conversations are fantastic parts of the client conversation. But always come back. Okay, that was great. No, let's go back. Okay, I need to know. Okay, what is your price range? What's your budget range? Also, let's talk about location. Are you guys doing, is this going to be a single location all in one place? Are you guys having the ceremony at a church and then you're driving down the road to a reception hall? Is this a multi-day thing? Get those kind of core details down, and then you can, go back to the fun stuff, talking about, your great aunt's dog and what you did last summer. So again, at the beginning of the meeting, if I'm not clear, at the beginning of the meeting, set the agenda. You're going to feel like you're sounding like a hard ass, or you're going to sound like this kind of like nerdy, like, student president. Okay, class, today let's set the agenda. But what it does is it sets the tone for the meeting, and it also gives everybody a sense of like why I'm here. And that's also get your client thinking, okay. And when you set the agenda and you are implicitly taking control of the situation, which is showing the client, oh, like, wow, this person takes initiative. This person knows how to read a room. This person knows how to be a professional. And that's like, again, those unspoken traits is what a client is looking for in a photographer. Yes, we all make great photos. We're all very, very talented at what we do with our cameras. But when you're able to show the soft skills like that, where you can make a client feel like they are in good hands, and things like setting an agenda and being focused and having an objective are very implicit things that the client goes, wow, I feel like I'm in good hands. They're taking the stress off me of planning this wedding. I think we want to hire this person. Lesson number 2, presence of mind. Okay, the presence of mind, this is, okay, when we're in the meetings and we're talking about vision, and we're talking about what it is that we want and who we want to, what we want our weddings to look like, and the timeline and how much fun it's going to be. When we're hearing all those things as the photographer, we start to go into like imagination mode. We start to think of how sick this is going to look. This is going to be amazing. Or yes, we can do this. Or, ooh, that's incredible. Yes, time. Okay, sunset times, golden hour. We start thinking of all the great shots. Oh, wow. Okay, yes, they show me their Pinterest board. This looks amazing. Oh, my gosh. Oh, yes, we can do this. Style. I love this, love this, love this. And we tend to just kind of go and go and go in our head, and we go out, like our brains just go 100 miles an hour thinking of all the cool, amazing things that we're going to do once we get this project, once we start working with these clients, and we get too excited. Whether we're physically showing it, or mentally we're just inside like this, yes, like fucking yes, like this is so good. Like we get super excited. And we start to brainstorm. We start to think of all the cool ideas. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this pose. Oh, she's going to have this type of dress. Oh, I'm going to make her do this one trick with the dress that's going to make. I've always wanted to get this shot. And I got to tell you, and if you're in a meeting, if you're in brainstorming meetings, brainstorming comes later. This is the problem. We start to, when you're thinking about, I'll just read this one. Like, take a screenshot of this. When you are thinking about the future, you are abandoning your clients in the present. When you are so focused on the cool shit that you're going to pull off, or some amazing style that you get to develop, or the opportunity, or cool, oh shit, I've never been to that vineyard. Oh wow, I can't wait to shoot there. That's going to be amazing to get those photographs there at that golden hour. And I've seen so many other great photos there. When you are thinking about in the future, it gets really quiet in the present moment. It's just like you stop listening to what the client is saying, and you abandon them in that present moment. And that's what we do not want to do. We want to stay present. I'm just going to repeat, stay present, but we really want to think and listen to what it is the client is saying. And that's a lot harder than it sounds. Or it's easy to say, just be in the present moment and listen to what they're saying, but listen to what your client is saying, and then don't let your mind wander. Don't let your mind go into imagination mode where you're thinking about all the cool stuff, all the amazing shots that you're going to get. I want you to hear about the family dynamics. I want you to be conscious of when we're talking about the unspoken things that your client is picking up on about you setting your agenda and being professional. You're also there to pick up the unspoken dynamics between the couple, how it is that they work, what is their personality like. Are you, mirroring is a great tactic to use once you're in the present moment. If they are loud and funny and bubbly people, then it's okay to be loud and funny and bubbly people. But if they are a little bit held back, a little bit reserved, you're watching like, okay, is the Is the husband looking to the wife to get permission to say something? Is the wife taking charge? Is the husband more involved? Is understanding that dynamic, like understanding those kind of relationships is going to be really critical in how you shoot this wedding. If you kind of blind to that and you go into imagination mode and you forget that, I remember meeting the husband. He was a little bit nerdy, kind of introverted, quiet, soft-spoken. And if you were just like in imagination mode and you were kind of left the room mentally, then you might forget those little small details, and then you go to photograph the husband and you guys just don't mix, or like you totally forgot that he is kind of more of an introverted person and you're just being your loudmouth bubbly self, and you're like, okay, now the energy's off. Now the photographs aren't coming out well. He's not comfortable. The wife can tell that the husband's not comfortable and makes her uncomfortable. Okay, this is I'm just giving like a random possible scenario, but when you're present, you're thinking about what it is that they're saying. The details are all there. You're trying to understand every single thing. And when the meeting is over, and days later and weeks later, that's when you can start to brainstorm. That's when you can start to do your research. That's when you can start to look at other inspiration, go look at other photographs from that location. You can start to do all that research and understanding and imagination, and kind of let your brain marinate on the project. Don't try to think of it all and leave, don't take off the plane while you're still in the moment with your clients. Other thing too, it's just like kind of a basic human respect level. Like, be here, talk to me. Don't start just going off in la la land. Stay here with me, and that's that kind of shows the most respect to the client, and we want them to feel respected so that they will respect us. I feel like I'm talking to 5-year-olds now. I'm not trying to talk to you guys like 5-year-olds. And finally, lesson 3. Let's close it here. The follow-through. Now, the follow-through, I look at it as this is the end of the meeting. This is as the meeting concludes, and you need to always go back to your agenda. Did we achieve what we set out to do for this meeting? What was our main objective? Did we get these details? The follow-through is basically the reverse agenda. Like, at the beginning, you set the intro, you set the agenda. I want to achieve this. I need to know these details. I was hoping that we would discuss or focus our discussion on this topic. And then at the very end, to say, okay, I think I understand everything. Let me kind of spit it back out to you guys to make sure that I understand everything. I would say that's one of my number one tips in a client meeting, is to write it down. And sometimes I will even intentionally say something just a little bit off so that they correct me. It's a little bit risky, I realize. But when you spit it back out to them and say, okay, blah, 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 details A, B, and D, and they go, no, it's actually A, B, and C. And you go, oh, okay. And it just shows that you're listening. It shows that you are, again, being intentional, being in the moment, being present, but also being in a deliberate way so that you're like, I am showing you that I care about the details and I want to get this right. I want to get this right the first time, and I have to circle back. Wait, hey, I forgot what you said in the meeting. Did you say this or that? Did you say detail A or detail B? Just while you're in the moment, while you're on the phone, while you're on FaceTime, while you're meeting them face-to-face, whatever the scenario is, always spit it back to them in a different way or in a way that they said it. So, because when they hear because the communication, remember, communication is a two-way street. If you're sending me all this information and I'm sending it back to you incorrectly, that means we had a little bit of miscommunication. So always repeat back. It's going to sound weird. You're going to sound like you're just repeating yourself over and over, but you want to give them the chance to correct you in the moment as opposed to correcting you down the road when it might be too late. And always leave room for questions. I do this on podcast interviews. I do this in any kind of client meeting. Always leave room for questions. Even if you feel like you've exhausted everything and you've had the longest discussion, you've gone over and over and over about it, always leave room for questions. So, okay, I think I have everything. Here's what I have down. Let me make sure I have all my details. I have details A, B, C, and D. Budget is this. Schedule is this. Timeline is this. Any questions for me? Any other questions? Anything that we missed? Anything that before we kick off, sign off, that you guys have questions for me, and just because they're always going to think of something or ask some little detail, and we want to be open. We want to always leave room, always be open, always be encouraging questions from our clients. Why not? They got a question? Let's have it. And then this is something you're probably not used to in meetings, is because at the end of a meeting, a lot of meetings, especially in the client world and corporate world and 9-to-5 world, is the meeting will end. Sometimes people take notes. A lot of times they don't, and then the meeting goes away, and then we forget about it, and then a week later we had that same meeting and go, what did we talk about last week? Oh yeah, we were supposed to do that. How did that go? Give each other homework. At the end of the call, at the end of the meeting, say, okay, so based on all this, based on all these details, A, B, and C, I'm going to go back. Usually for you on your end, you're going to say, I'm going to go back. I'm going to work on a proposal. I'm going to work on this wedding package, just kind of put something together that I think you guys will like. It's going to be in this budget range. What I need from you guys is if you can get in contact with the wedding planner, or if you can do this, or you can get me these details, or if you can tell me, give them some kind of homework. Make them an active part. Like, yes, the client is hiring you to do some of the heavy lifting and some of the work, but don't just make it a passive relationship. This is an active relationship that you're trying to build with your clients. I need you here. I need you present. I need you. This is a 50-50 relationship. I'm going to go and work on this wedding package, and I'll be back to you in a couple days or 48 hours or a week, whatever your timeline is. But on your end, I need these details. Can you start to work on this? Can you start to give me this? And that'd be great. And that way it feels a little bit more, I think it feels a little bit more 50-50. It feels a little bit like there's some accountability with each other, that this is not just kind of and like I think that's where a lot of wedding photographers make the mistake, is like they think that they are just working for their client, and the client just, I don't know how to put this in a nice way, but like it's a very one-sided relationship where this is where like the client has all the power. They feel like they have all the power, and they just boss you around. If you flip it on them, and not say boss them around, but if you're giving them homework, you are forcing the power dynamic between you and your client to be more 50-50, so that it feels even. And when you go to talk about budget, when you go to push back on timeline, when you go to push back on, hey, this can't work, I don't think this is going to work, you're not so scared, you're not so nervous about it, because the relationship isn't 100 and 0, it's now 50-50, and you feel like you're equals in this partnership, and equals can talk to each other. You can talk rationally about things. You can understand if a problem comes up, you can talk about it like adults, as opposed to feeling so scared and nervous that you're going to lose the client and feeling like you don't have any power. This is a weird little trick, but like, give them some homework to do. And if they don't do the homework, or if they don't follow up and like show you that they care, they're trying to be a part of this relationship, then that is, again, those unspoken, implicit, whatever you want to call it, red flags, messages, values that are being spoken. Actions speak louder than words in a lot of this. And then this kind of ties into being present. When you're present, yes, I would say take notes. That's how my brain works. I got to write it down to remember it. But when you are done with the meeting, you hang up, you click the phone off, whatever, you sign off, you close your webcam, you leave the coffee shop, whatever the situation may be. Go sit in your car, get on your phone. If you're at home, get your voice recorder out and record every detail that you can, that you just, like, in the moment. Okay, thanks, goodbye, click, phone goes off. Now, and then you write down every little detail that you can remember from this meeting. Bullet points, whatever you got to do. Voice record it. Okay, this is March 8th. This is Jordan. Had a meeting with Sarah and John. They talked about this. We talked about that. Like, so that you have it in your memory. I'm not saying you're not gonna send all these notes to your clients, but it is so helpful to have that brain that becomes days later, weeks later. You might finally get back with them. You might talk with them again, have a meeting round 2, or you might actually meet them on their engagement session, and you kind of forgot what it is that you talked about, or you forgot the details, or you forgot this and that, or like they did their homework, but their homework took 30 days for you to get back, and now you're kind of fuzzy on the details. Write everything down, store it somewhere, so that when let's say you do actually close this client and you get the contract signed, Now you got a little file on them, and now you got some information and you got some background information so they don't feel like they have to repeat themselves, tell you again about the details of the wedding or the details of their relationship or what their family's like. You have all that stored away. That's just kind of very classic, basic CRM sales tactics that you should do. So write it down. And then so once you've written that down, then I would send the meeting notes to your clients via email just for their records. And I'm not saying like share every single detail, but share the agenda with them, share the main objectives, and also remind them of the homework that you are going to do, and then remind them of the homework that they need to do. Say, hey, thanks very much. It was so exciting to meet you guys. Just for your records and just so that you remember, this is what we talked about in the meeting. And that also kind of clears up communication too, because when it's a verbal meeting, you're talking back and forth. There are some clients that will say, hey, you said this, or you said you were going to do this, or you told us that it was going to be 2 weeks, not 1 week, or whatever the situation is. If you have that, if you kind of documented that, I'm not saying like legally, but if you documented it a little bit, then you kind of have a little bit of something to back up on and say, no, like, hey, this is what we talked about. This is so that it's crystal clear between all three of us that we talked about this. This is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And just putting it out in the open so it's crystal clear. Thank you so much. Look forward to hearing from you guys. If you have any questions, give me a call anytime, text me anytime, whatever boundaries you want to set with your clients. Thanks very much. Jordan Anderson. Now, the hardest thing to do out of all of this is the hardest thing to do. This is the biggest tip from a client meeting. And this is the final piece of the follow-through, and this is the actual follow-through that we're talking about here. This is the hardest thing to do in anything you do, whether it's content or whether it's meeting clients or whether it's actually executing the service that you said you're going to do. Do what you say you will do. I'll repeat that. Do what you say you'll do. If you said that you're going to write, hey, thanks very much. It's so nice meeting you guys. I'm going to go back and write a wedding proposal package. I'm going to put a couple prices together, put together a couple of options, and I'll have that to you in 48 hours. Make sure you send it within 48 hours. If you said you're going to do something and you don't do it, that is the biggest, poorest, worst reflection of who you are as a photographer that you could ever ask for. Do what you say you will do. Show up when you say you'll show up. Call them when you say you will call them. Get back to them when you say you're going to get back to them. Edit the photos in the time you said you're going to edit the photos. And if any of that changes, and if any of that becomes unclear, you have to communicate that to your client. And you have to communicate that consistently. I think the biggest lesson from this video today about running a client meeting effectively and running it like Google does is say what you're going to do, actually do it, and a client meeting is the meeting a client face-to-face or over Zoom or FaceTime or on the phone. You are trying to get, of course, the explicit facts, the details of the lesson. The details of the meeting. Who, what, when, where. What are we doing? How much is it going to cost? What's the timeline? We're trying to get those logistical details. But what is more important about a client meeting is that you, as the photographer, need to pick up on the unspoken things in the meeting, and you need to demonstrate and show off those soft skills, those other unspoken things to your client. Show them that you're a leader. Show them that you take initiative. Show them that you're organized. Show them that you don't mind taking charge of something. Show them that you do work intentionally, that you're not disorganized. And then show them, of course, that you are going to do what you said you would do. I'll say that one more time. That you are going to do what you said you will do. Live with intention, stay present, stay in the moment. Don't daydream about how cool the project is going to be or the magic hour shots you're going to get, and follow through. So thank you guys for watching. My name is Jordan P. Anderson. I will see you guys Wednesday at 9 p.m. on this YouTube channel. And I'm going to wrap it up here. My name is Jordan P. Anderson. Thanks for watching.